everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki the Rose, and for today's video, I'm doing a part 2 full face using only e.l.f. Cosmetics.
Now tell me exactly how.
To start this makeup look, I will be cleaning up under my brows with the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Light Sand, and applying with a 233. It's a cream shader brush from Zoeva. I'm gonna do this first, and then I'm going to completely fill in my eyebrows with all e.l.f. Cosmetics products. Now I'm going to lightly powder it using the Halo Glow setting powder in the shade Light Pink. So just tapping off the excess, I'm going to just press this onto pretty much the crease, not like the actual eyelid, because I'm going to apply something else there in just a bit. And I don't want it to be super set where I can't smudge that next product on top and blend it out. But this area I want to be locked in and set. So now moving on to the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil from e.l.f. I liked the shade Cool Brown. I also got Brunette in my haul video. I didn't really touch Brunette. I'll probably give it away. I just think that this is a really good color for me, so I'm going to choose to use Cool Brown again. And I really liked the way this brow pencil went on. And I wore that makeup look, that first e.l.f. makeup look, all day, and my brows stayed completely put. They looked so good all night. Even all my makeup, actually, I'll get into it later on, but all my makeup looked great for hours and hours later. So it's definitely like most of the products I tried are wear test approved. This really does remind me exactly of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz pencils. These are really an incredible dupe for those, and they're incredibly inexpensive. I think these were $5 or $6, $7. They're linked in the description, so you guys can check them out. Moving on to another brow product. This is the Wow Brow from e.l.f. and these were such a hit. If you have full brows, you're probably not gonna love this. You'll probably just need like a clear brow gel and call it good. So I'm using the shade Dark Brown, I think, Deep Brown. And now I'm just taking a little bit more and just depositing more of that fiber into my brows. So now I'm gonna switch to a slightly lighter color. This is Natural Brown, and I'm gonna use this just in the inner part of my brow. And when you mix different tones with brow products, it's going to give you more of a natural look, as opposed to just taking one color and using it all throughout your entire brow. So if you really want them to look like naturally full, use multiple colors. Now we're going to move on to a fun part. I have been so excited to try this in particular. It's the e.l.f. No Budge Matte Shadow Stick in the shade Thrift Shop, and just apply it all over the base of my eyelids. And we will see if this really is no budge. Now I'm going to grab a blending brush. This is from BK Beauty. It's a 202 brush. I'm going to pat it in first because it looks a little wet still. And just blend it into the crease of my eye. It's a really pretty color though. It's like a really nice, like everyday kind of neutral. Okay, I did pill a little bit, but that might just be because it's going over a little bit of that powder that I used earlier to set the concealer. So, okay, base is on. Moving on to a powder eyeshadow. This is one of the bite-size eyeshadow palettes, and this is the shade Pumpkin Pie. I'm gonna use this matte, slightly more cool toned brown shade. I'm going to pack this onto my eyelid like sultry, smoky. Using another BK Beauty brush. This is an A501 brush. I swatched this palette earlier, and this color in particular reminded me a little bit of like a deeper version of MAC Cork eyeshadow, or even Wedge. It looks a lot like Wedge. It has like that similar undertone to it. So I knew I'd like it. And so far it's definitely really gripping onto that eyeshadow base, which is a plus. I am surprised that so far, there was no fallout in this palette. Like, none. Just crazy. I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with drugstore eyeshadows, is the fallout is always so intense. But these are really impressive. Switching back over to that BK Beauty 202 brush, I'm gonna use this, not dipping into any more shadow, I'm just gonna use this to start to blend that shadow into my crease. Next, I'll be dipping into that other matte shade in the palette and switching to a Sephora. This is a Pro Crease brush. It's the number 19 brush. Tap off the excess. I'm just gonna work this into my crease. And let me remind you too, for $3, these are insanely pigmented and just very buttery. Like they go on very buttery and smooth. I'm floored by how nice these go on. So just blending this and working the color up to the level of intensity that I want. Like I said, I'm going for more of like a sultry, neutral, smoky eye. Onto one more color. I just want to blend a little bit of this other matte neutral into my crease. And this is from the Truffles Bite Size palette. So I'm just gonna take that same Sephora brush. It's not gonna make a huge difference. I just want to add a little bit of a different matte neutral brown into my crease before I move on to eyeliner. This is actually probably one of my favorite colors as far as like these eyeshadows go. This one, when I swatch it, is just, it's one of those colors I would use every day in the crease. Okay, just blending a little bit more into the crease. Okay, eyeshadow's done for the most part right now. I'm going to move on to eyeliner. So I used this in the last Elf Cosmetics look. I use this to tightline my top lash line. So using the No Budge retractable liner in coffee, I'm going to use this to line the top lash line. So a little dry on my lash line. Okay, one side's done. I'm gonna move on to this eye. Yeah, it's really dry. Jeez. I feel like I'm like ripping my eyelid skin off right now as I'm doing this. But I committed to this, so I'm going to finish this eye. Wow, and probably never use this again on my top lash line. I mean, I'm sure if I like put a lighter to it for a couple seconds, it would go on really creamy, but I'm not about to go hunt down a lighter to do that. Okay, we're gonna call it a day. We're gonna go back to this eyeshadow palette, Truffles, and use the black eyeshadow to start to smoke out that brown liner. Hopefully it will actually go on top and do what I want it to do. But I'm going to apply it using a really small blending brush. This is a Morphe collaboration brush with Makeup by L'Oreal. So this is the eyeliner brush that set came with. The shadow is nicely pigmented, very, very pigmented. And for being a black eyeshadow, I don't have a ton of messy fallout, so that's really good too. But just to be safe, I am pressing this on top of that pencil liner and then kind of smudging it out. So my idea was to use this black eyeshadow to set that brown pencil, but since that brown pencil really didn't show up at all, this is just kind of taking over it and replacing it, but you get the idea. We're gonna clean that up in just a minute. I'm gonna do this side now. And then just lightly blending the edge just to soften it and give it like a smoky wing liner kind of vibe. Before I clean this up, I'm just going to put a good coat of the Elf Cosmetics Big Mood Mascara. I love this mascara. I think this is a really good, really good formula. But I'm not gonna go too crazy because I am gonna put on a half lash once this is dried down. So I'm just gonna do like one nice solid coat. And the lashes that I'm gonna use are not from Elf Cosmetics. I don't think they even have lashes, but I really want to do lashes for this look. So just getting a nice coat of mascara on, which is gonna like kind of act like our base, or my half lash will just perfectly sit on top. Now taking a pointed Q-tip, and one of my favorites, my Bioderma micellar water, I'm gonna clean up my wing and get that nice crisp, sharp edge that I like. Now that my eyeliner is done, I'm going to move on to the rest of my face just to kind of get it started. And I'll be using the Power Grip Primer from e.l.f. If you guys saw my last video, I got like the little mini because I'm just not a huge primer person. But I actually really did like this. I don't know, it didn't feel like filmy on my skin. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't like primer in general is it just feels like a weird, annoying film on my skin that I don't love. So I just always go the, you know, prep your skin with skincare route. But like I said, I used this on my last tutorial and I liked it. I thought it was really nice. And it's such a great dupe for the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip primer that's like very popular. So I'm just rubbing this into my T-zone. You kind of have to work fast. This does actually dry down pretty quick. So just keep that in mind. Like, you don't have a lot of like playtime. You want to kind of get it on and like rub it into your skin right away. So when I did my first elf makeup look, I bought 2 foundations. I bought Buff and Linen, and I think Linen was the best color match for me. So I'm gonna shake it up. And this is the Elf Cosmetics Flawless Finish Foundation. This was $6, which is just crazy to me. I still can't really get over it. The color match is not perfect, but like I said last time, it's definitely passable. So we're gonna go with passable and we're gonna make it work. And I really liked the way it sat on my skin. Like I wore that makeup look that I did, and did we go to dinner after? Yeah. My husband and I went to dinner, and I went with that eyeshadow look with like the glitter on the inside and the teal liner. I actually got a couple of compliments, which was really sweet. And anyway, the makeup wore really, really nice. So I'm using the Elf Cosmetics Complexion Duo brush. I love this brush. I've bought this many months ago, but actually, to be honest, this was probably like over 2 years ago that I bought this brush, now that I think about it. Or right when it came out, like maybe a year and a half ago. And I got my friend Susan to buy this brush too, because it's such a good brush, and she loves like double-ended brushes like this, where it has like the little concealer blending brush on the bottom. I have had to glue it recently because this came off while I was washing it just recently. It's okay, it's nothing like a little super glue doesn't fix. And this brush is $8 and just such a good foundation brush. But I not only use it for foundation, I love it for cream bronzer and for cream blush. For cream blush, it is phenomenal. So I'm just blending this on and kind of tapping it on any of the areas I want extra coverage. So I'm gonna try to tap it onto this little pimple I have above my lip. Another thing I want to point out too is this foundation does work really well with that, what is it called? The Power Grip Primer. And I think that if you have oily skin, if you use this combination, like if you're looking for like an inexpensive primer foundation combo, I think this is a really good combo for oily skin or combo skin. I don't think it'd be the best if you have like dry skin, or if you do have dry skin, just maybe skip the primer, or definitely skip the primer and just do a nice thick moisturizer underneath and then go on top with your foundation. I think that'd be a really good combo. Okay, so just using the small end of the brush for areas that I want to have a little more control. So like just around my brows, where obviously I don't want to mess up my brows because it took me a long time to do them. So I'm just going to use the small end to blend around my brows just to get this foundation on so I'm nice and even. Okay, I'm going to blend this down my neck a little bit. Foundation is on. Going back to my Hydrating Camo Concealer in Light Sand. I'm going to start with this, and then I'm going to layer that brightening highlighting pen that I used on my last video to highlight. But I'm also going to conceal first. And using the smallest out of that trio of complexion sponges that I bought, that was such a good buy. These were $12 for 3 sponges, and these are bomb sponges. So I'm going to use the 2 smallest ones for this whole look. The smallest one is going to be how I tap on my concealer. These are great if you find that like bigger beauty blenders or beauty sponges are hard to control under the eye, which they are. If you're using them under the eye to like blend in your concealer, they can be really hard to control because they are so big and you're trying to squeeze them into like this little small area of your eye. So if you have a hard time with that, I highly suggest you pick up little ones, like little mini ones like this. It's a really great, like manageable size. And you really can like maintain the control of where you're pushing in that concealer under your eye. Because the bigger that sponge, the more likely you're gonna like spread it into areas that you don't want. This is a nice concealer. Every time I use it, I'm pretty wowed by the formula. I think it's a really nice formula. And this sponge, FYI, is slightly damp. It's not sopping wet, but it is a little damp. I feel good about that. I'm gonna move on to the Flawless Brightening Concealer. It's like a pen, and it's in the shade Light 23C. So this has more of like a pink hue to it, which is great, and it's very complimentary under the eye because it has like that pink undertone to it, so it's gonna help to really color correct my under eyes. In this case, I am using it on top of that concealer, so what it's really gonna do, it's going to just brighten my under eyes. So right in that darkest corner of my eyes, and then bringing it along the side of my nose. A little more natural, but still going to brighten your under eye area, or you know, any of the areas that you want to like highlight your face, but you don't want it to be a thick formula. This is nice for that because it is a very thin, watery formula, if that makes sense. So it's not going to add a whole lot of heaviness to whatever face makeup you have on. So I'm going to use this straight down my nose. Oop. A little bit in the center of my forehead to highlight, a little on the top of my chin, and just right in this area where I have a lot of like shadows going on. I'm going to just really, really lightly tap this in until it dries down a little more. So I'm just gonna lightly go like that. I'm gonna grab my lashes. These are not e.l.f., like I said, but I really want to wear lashes for this look. These are one of my favorite strip lashes, and I don't say that often because I don't like a lot of strip lashes, just to be honest. But these are in my top 5 of strip lashes, period. Like, they're beautiful on. They're the Ardell Naked Lashes in the style 420. So I'm gonna cut straight down the center. It's hard to show you guys, so I'm just gonna do it and cut it. And now I'm left with 2 little half lashes. And it's so much easier to apply a half lash, popping the side on. My nails are short right now, so I can just kind of use my fingers to pop them on, and I have like a lot of control with that. Before I do bronzer, I'm gonna set my under eyes using the e.l.f. Cosmetics Halo Glow Setting Powder in light pink. You know, I liked this under my eye the first time I used it for the last video, but my only complaint was, I was tapping some off into the cap. My only complaint was that it was, or did feel kind of dry under my eyes. But yet here I am gonna do the exact same thing again, because I did like the way it looked. It just kind of felt, it felt a little dry, unfortunately. So we're just gonna get in there. But it looked flawless. I mean, it definitely smoothed and looked nice and flawless. Just gonna get this area along the side of my mouth. And I'm gonna take a little bit more and use it to bake the side of my nose. I'm just not gonna bake my under eye like I used it last time. I actually baked my under eye with this powder. I'm gonna skip that so it doesn't feel so dry. Going back to that bronzer palette, this is the Bronze Beauty palette. I think they have three different shades in this palette. I really have been liking this for so many products lately, including a lot of like my powders. It's a BK Beauty 106 brush. I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna dip into this shade first, this top right shade, and just kind of stamp and press this onto my forehead. I'm not really buffing it, I'm just gonna kind of press it and tap it onto the highest point of my forehead, just to bring some warmth back to my skin. I really like this color. I think this color works really nicely. It's a really pretty neutral. It's not too orangey. Now taking the same brush, I'm just gonna press it onto the side of my cheek, just to give like a nice natural contoured effect. And I'm gonna go into this shade now directly below it, which is a little bit more on the olive and warm side, which is usually like the kind of bronzers I gravitate towards because they match my skin's undertone a little bit better than more like the red ones. And just kind of layering it on top, just for a little more intensity. Now, one thing I did last time that I really, really liked, and I've done it a couple days since then too. So what I did was I took a small little blending brush and I mixed these 2 shades and I lined my lips with this. But before I do, I'm gonna tap on a itty bitty bit of powder and then use this to line my lips. I'm gonna go for more of like a 90s supermodel type lip look. This is a great way to line your lips and really enhance them. And if you don't have a lip liner that you're loving or that's a good neutral, use a matte bronzer. let's try this for the first time. I've been really excited to try this. I don't know how the color is going to work out, to be quite honest. This is the e.l.f. Glossy Lip Stain, and I have the shade Cinnamon Dreamz. Oh yeah, it's definitely reminds me of the 90s. It's very thin, like a lot thinner than I expected. I thought it was gonna be like more of a thick, like a liquid matte lipstick kind of feeling, but it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a gloss. All right, so I want to have this dry down and see how it actually stains. So I'm gonna go back to that Truffles eyeshadow palette and use that same matte that I used in the crease, and a really small, really old Morphe M149 brush, and just start to bring some color and balance to my bottom lash line and some smokiness. Now I'm gonna go back to the Pumpkin Pie palette, switch to another brush. This one's more fluffy. This is a BK Beauty A504 brush. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that warmer matte brown shade and just use that to really smoke out my bottom lash line. I'm gonna go back to my mascara. Let that dry down a touch. In the meantime, I'm gonna dust off that baking powder that's on the side of my nose with a clean brush. And now go back to my bronzer palette and just kind of contour and bring some balance to the center of my face and bring this on this side of my nose. And for that, I'm gonna use a BK Beauty A503 brush. And I think I'm just gonna use this one to start. We're gonna change it up. We're gonna go back to the Always Rosy because I really did like this blush on. I thought it was really pretty and it's just like a nice neutral. That's the plan. I'm gonna use a Morphe brush. This is the Makeup by L'Oreal collection brush. It's the powder brush. Yeah, this is definitely the right choice. Okay, now I'm gonna grab that coffee eyeliner, even though I'm not thrilled with it. I'm just gonna try it. I just wanna try it one more time. I'm gonna work it onto the top of my hand, like maybe like warm it up a little bit in that way. Because I really wanna tightline my bottom lash line, waterline, just a little bit. To see if it does anything. Oh, it's doing something. Okay, yeah, it did something. You just kind of have to go over it a lot. That's pretty. I don't know how long this is gonna last. It's probably gonna disappear from my waterline in like 2 seconds, but we're gonna try it out anyway. I'm going to set my makeup now with the Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. This really does have a nice like microfine mist to it, which is one of my favorite things that I look for in a setting spray. Like if it's not like an aggressive sprayer that like attacks your face, then I'm all about it. Like this is a really nice fine mister.
Now tell me exactly how you feel. I'm just trying to keep it real. Let me love you on the inside, love you on the inside. Tell me exactly what you mean.
I hope you enjoyed this 90s inspired glam using all e.l.f. Cosmetics products minus the lashes. I have been wanting to sit down and do another 90s tutorial for you all since the start of my YouTube channel. In fact, my very first YouTube video that I ever posted, which I shot on my iPhone in my living room, was a 90s inspired glam. So if you saw that video, leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you, and just also thank you for watching my very first tutorial. But this is a much better version, better quality, and I had so much fun filming it for you all. So if you like this look, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you missed my previous e.l.f. Cosmetics full face glam, I will link it right here. You can actually watch it right here. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok where I post tons of other makeup tutorials, and you could find me there and talk to me there. I'm at Makeup by Nikki LaRose, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.